The rain was still pouring down as hard as ever. This weather was supposed to continue all day tomorrow as well, which was making me feel a bit depressed. Oh wait, given the time, that's today, not tomorrow. But that doesn't really matter now. I'm sleepy. Erano tipo le 3 di notte. With half-asleep eyes, I opened my umbrella. The large drops of rain pounded against it mercilessly. Technically, they had called an end to the family conference at 1 a.m., but the post-match scuffles were still dragging on. I was really jealous of Aunt Rosa, who managed to slip out of there at that time. She cleverly got away by saying that she'd check on Maria, who might have been staying up too late. Thanks to Dad constantly involving me, I missed my chance to escape, and they made me stick around until now, 3 a.m. What on earth did they spend all that time deciding? Nothing got decided at all. They just kept on arguing about who said what, like elementary school kids. They must be tired too. I'm sure that's why they kept dragging on with the same pointless questions. I no longer felt any shock or anger towards them. I guess no painkiller works better than drowsiness. I left them behind and finally returned to the guest house. When I returned to the guest house, the lights were on in the lounge downstairs. Not only that, I could even hear people chatting inside. Apparently, some people were still awake even at this time of the night. Oh, despite the late hour, Goda-san and Nanjo Doctor, and Dr. Nanjo were still awake and chatting. Plates and cups were lined up on the counter, and it looked almost like a bar with Goda-san as the bartender. After noticing I'd come back, it looked as though Dr. Nanjo finally realized how late it was. As Goda-san made to top off his glass, he declined with an exaggerated gesture. Oh no, that's enough. It's already too late to be up. Look how late it's gotten. You were such a good person to chat with. I hardly noticed. Oh no, it was your skill at entertaining that made the difference. We'll have to do this again sometime. Yes, gladly. Butler-sama, welcome back. T'à posto.
まだ旦那様方の会議は続いておりますか?
Yes, gladly, Butler-sama, welcome back. Is the discussion with Kraus-sama and the others still continuing? The way things were going, they'll probably drag it all the way out until dawn. None of my business. I spoke carelessly with a big yawn. You all have more stamina than I expected. It's quite a surprise. Oh, so you're here too? Yes, a humble little night gathering had begun to form quite naturally here. So I took it upon myself to join. Don't worry, I haven't said a word about you know what. Erika could be seen on the sofa, and she had taken off her shoes and was lounging around as though she owned the place. And you too, Erika-sama. You are very knowledgeable on a variety of subjects. I enjoyed listening to you immensely. Your knowledge truly is extensive. Very impressive for one so young. You're very welcome. It's merely the trivial knowledge of Furdo Erika. Erika paused by picking up the hem of her skirt. She was lounging on the sofa with her feet up, so it didn't look remotely elegant. Where is Auntie Rosa? She returned around 1 a.m., but she went straight upstairs to sleep. That was probably the right choice. She'd been going along with that conference for so long. I felt like flopping down in bed right away myself. I've had it. I'm tired enough that I might flop over right here. Well then, let's call it a night. Don't you have to get up early tomorrow morning to make breakfast, Goda-san? Preparations for breakfast have already been made. As always, I have full confidence that you will enjoy it greatly, so please look forward to it. In Goda-san's eyes, the family conference is an open stage on which to display his culinary skills. He's probably so pumped up he won't even get sleepy. As she laughed at how youthful Goda was, Erika stood up. This acted as the sign that it was time to disperse. I will clean up here. Please enjoy your sleep, everyone. Leaving the cleanup to Goda-san, I went to the bathroom and then climbed the stairs to the second floor. Good night, everyone. These old bones have stayed up a little too late. Good night, Dr. Nanja. Good night, Butler-san. Yeah, night. Then, in the upstairs hallway, we split up. Dr. Nanjo went to his own room. Erika went to her room. And I returned to the cousin's room. I couldn't hear any sounds of playing coming from the cousin's room. They could they have gone or could they have already gone to sleep? No surprise at this time of night. If they were still playing, they would have been staying up way too late. When I opened the door quietly, as expected, the room was already pitch black except for a small night light. Everyone was already sleeping in their beds. I bet they all had a great time horsing around. They probably had a ton of fun staying up late and talking about their youth. If only I hadn't found the gold, I could have had fun spending time with them. I'm already tired. So tired. Forgetting even to change my clothes or brush my teeth, I crawled into bed and immediately started to sink into the marshes of sleep. Today's been so insane. I wonder if that old bastard is still in that family conference now. How does he not get tired? Come to think of it, what was it that old bastard said when we parted company? Tomorrow, there's something important I want to talk about. As a family. It's about you. I'm sure it's more stuff about being the successor. I don't even want to hear about it. If I tell you about this, I'm probably gonna get murdered. I'll murder you whenever you want, you old bastard. And then, what was it he said next? It's about your birth. My birth? Probably just something about the noble Ushiromiya lineage. Not interested. Just let me sleep. Ecco. Sì, neanche, ci avevo messo 8 minuti a leggere. Rudolph ha un potere, cazzo. Revenge for 19 years ago. Bel titolo. The sound of crashing waves. Ah! The sound of the tide surging. The noise of the sea breeze. Whenever my headache torments me, these are the sounds that fill my head. Ciao Andrew. My inability to bear a successor placed me in a very difficult position within the Ushiromiya family. I tried every medication that was said to promote fertility, even incense or herb, incense or herb, but nothing I tried had any effect. Until I was blessed with Jessica 18 years ago. I was shamed to even call myself a wife. The creation of a child depends on the effort of two people and the whims of heaven. It's not fair to place all the blame on yourself. I still don't know what caused my inability to become pregnant. I even went to see noted physicians. I went humiliating examination. I underwent humiliating
しかしい
examinations.
つも
But
理由は
I
わから
was
ないと
always
言わ
just
れた
told
だ
that
け
they didn't understand the reason. Game theory un secondo? Se un bambino si fa in due e il problema non è tuo,
結婚から短くない時
even
間
though
を
quite some time has passed since your marriage, you still couldn't bear a child.
なるほどな
I see.
次期当主を密
It's
か
only
に狙う
natural
エヴ
that
ァ
Eva, who secretly
首をもたげぬわけ
aspired to become the next head, would start getting ideas. Eva tried to convince father that I was a failure as a future head's wife. It was a time when Kinzo was also very disappointed in my husband's repeated business failures. On the other hand, Eva's husband, Hideyoshi's business was growing well, completely the opposite of my husband's business. He was the only person who could bring father good news. In that case, perhaps there could be no blame placed on father if he decided to lend an ear to Eva's words, or even accept them without question. It was all my fault, because I couldn't bear a child.
そなたに罪など
You
ない
are
この
sinless.
国の赤ん坊
Aren't
は
babies of this country carried here by storks?
裁かれる
If anyone's to be
それは
judged,
コウ
it
ノト
should
リ
be
に
the
なるのが
stork.
道理というものよありがと
Thank
うし
you.
かし
However, even though he was still in good health then, the head was already well past his prime.
早く孫の顔を
And
見
it's
たい
not
と
hard
思
to
う
imagine that he wanted to see his grandchildren's faces as soon as possible.
知るか
Who cares? If he wanted a grandchild, he could have just done what he wanted with that appalling amount of money he had.
金で生み出せる
This is
ものは
Kinzo,
ない
the man who always bragged about how money could create anything.
孫が欲しくば
If he wanted a grandchild, why couldn't he just manage something with that money he was so proud of? Yes, that's
当
right.
主様
The head gave up on me when I couldn't bear a child,
その通りになされたのです
did just that. Thinking it the duty of anyone in possession of a large amounts of money, the head gave me a lot of charities. One among these, the facility known as the Gospel House, the Fukuin House, had been given an especially large donation, possibly because he had old ties with that place.
ああ
Ah,
福音の家か
the Fukuin House, the Gospel
よ
House.
くあそこから
Furniture came from that place quite often.
当主様は
As part of their work, training, and public activity, the head employed Gospel House children with exceptional grades as servants. All of the servants in the mansion with the character in, on, non in their names, Shannon, Canon, Lunon, Manon, Lennon, and more besides, were children from there.
いろいろな連中
There
が
were
いた
quite a
な
lot of them, weren't
多
there?
くはほんの数
Though
年で
most
辞め
quit
るわよ
after just a few years.
当家の給金は
That's probably
数年
because
も
a few
働けば
years of
十分
wages
社会で
from
生活してい
working
ける
here
だけた
would
まるで
earn
しょ
them more than enough to live on their
う後
own.
ろ宮家での使用人
Experience as a servant for the Ushiromiya family is a wonderful thing to add to one's resume.
それを得て社会
I'm
を
sure it
羽ば
was
たいて
also
く
the
れれば
head's desire for
当主様
them
も
to
きっと
gain
本望を出
this
さ
for
れるでしょ
themselves and then spread their wings in society.
うなるほど
I see. So, an adopted child.
お父様
Father,
今
what did you say?
この赤ん坊
Accept this infant as my grandchild.
おおよしよし
Oh,
よし
there. Apparently, the baby Kumasawa was trying to soothe didn't like the air in the study at all. He kept on crying as if it hated it in here.
申し訳あ
My
りません
apologies, Father.
私には
I'm not sure what you want me.
この赤ん坊を
Accept this
我が孫
infant
として迎え
as my grandchild.
そしてクラウス
You
の
shall
後を
raise it to be the
継ぐ
one
者と
who
して育て
succeeds Kraus.
それはつまり
In other words, you want my husband and I to raise this baby
夫の子として
as our own child?
育てよとおっしゃるのですか
そうだ
That's right.
お前に子が宿
It's
せぬ
clear by now that you are barren.
お前の
Your
体
body
には
must have
何か
some
しらの
sort of
問題がある
defect.
に違いない
あ
Oh, Oh, there, there.
おう
There,
よ
there.
しよし
As though she couldn't hear our discussion in the slightest, Kumasawa kept on persistently trying to cuddle the baby. This made its crying get even louder.
暴言だな
That's nonsense.
女の責任だけ
If
で
all the
子が産める
responsibility
な
of giving birth rested with a
この世に
woman,
男など
this
必要
world
ない
would have no need for men. Okay.
あの日の悔しさを
I've never forgotten the bitter pain I felt that day.
私とて
Of
子が欲
course
しく
I
なかっ
wanted
た
a
わけだ
child.
でもいくら祈ろうと
No matter
身
how
ごもれ
much
な
I
いのです
prayed, I couldn't get pregnant.
私の体に原
Thinking
因が
that
あるのでは
something
な
to
く
do with my
い
body
くつも
might
の
be
名
the
医を
cause.
訪ね歩きました
I went to see several famous doctors. Even so,
い
no
くら
matter
努
how
力しても
hard I tried,
身ごもれなかった
I
のです
couldn't become pregnant.
その挙句
After all that,
こ
for
の
this
仕
to
打ち
be how you were treated,
察するぞ
I understand. The baby had been picked up by the gospel house just recently. Of course, it wasn't that I didn't feel compassion for the child, who was so young and who had already lost its parents' affection. However, the pain and sadness I felt were far greater. It would have been another story if I had suffered to bear this child. But why did I have to cradle do I have to cradle this baby, who not only shared none of my blood, but who was not related to my husband in the slightest either?
お父様を恨んではいません
I don't hate father.
もし恨めるの
If anything, I only hated my own
死
body.
にくかったんです
I detested it.
こう宿せぬ我が
I
身がひたす
truly
ら
detested my own body for being unable to bear a child.
だから私は祈りま
So
し
I
た
prayed.
天使と悪魔の両
I
方
prayed to both angels and demons, and my wishes
その両方
were
が
granted
叶
by
いま
both.
した
天使には何と祈
What
る
did you pray to the angels?
私の体
I
に
prayed for a miracle in my body.
私の体に
If
問
there
題があ
was
るという
something
なら
wrong with
そ
my
れを受け
body,
入れましょう
I could accept that.
ならばそれを
But I
告
wanted
白し
to
て
overcome that defect and somehow be granted the miracle of my husband's child.
その願いは
That wish came true.
あなたはその
The
次の
next
年に
year, you
見
gave
事に
birth
ジ
to
ェシカを産
Jessica.
むことになるそして
And what did you pray to the
悪魔に
demons?
は何と祈ったか
悔しい
I couldn't stand it. I couldn't stand
こ
it.
の身が恨めしい
I cursed this body of mine.
そして
And I
それを
cursed
見
this
せつける
baby,
かのようなこの赤ん坊
who
が
was the
憎かった
living reminder of my failure.
何を願われたの
What
ですか
did you wish for?
私は初めて
For the first time in my
悪魔
life,
に祈りました
I
願いました
prayed and wished to demons.
この赤ん坊が
I wished that this baby
消え
would
てなく
simply
なってしまえ
disappear.
ばいいのにって
Of course, that wish was also granted by demons. On that day, I left the baby with one of the older servants and went to think about the future in the rose garden. No, that's a lie. I just wanted to clear my mind of everything. The baby's cries were aggravating, so I ordered the servants to take the baby to a place where I couldn't hear. By a place where I couldn't hear, I mean somewhere far away. Yeah, I wished for the servant to take the baby far away and never return.
なるほど
I see.
雪吊りの悪魔
So a
が
passing demon heard your
その
wish,
願いを
Natsuhi-sama.
して
And then,
どうなったの
what happened next?
それは
And after that
悪魔が
was a
願いを
bizarre
叶えてくれた
accident
としか思えない
that could only have been
奇妙な
granted
事故
me
でした
by a demon. The woodland path from the rose garden to the harbor is certainly well suited for a pleasant walk. And from time to time, if the mood took you, it would undoubtedly feel good to veer off the path and take a walk through the trees. However, wouldn't that be venturing a little too far for a walk with a baby in your arms?
その先は断崖でした
There was a cliff on the other side.
高さは
It was about 10 meters high, I think.
下は岩場
It was rocky below.
そこには柵もあったの
There
です
was even a fence
そ
there.
の使用人は
And
わざわ
we
ざ
are
そんなとこ
supposed
ろまで
And are we supposed that the servant deliberately walked all the way over there holding the baby and then leaned against the fence? The only conceivable explanation is that she was lured there by the beckoning of a demon. So, she was lured there, and the demon who heard your wish lured that servant there. So then, the servant and the baby. They died. They fell from the cliff down to the rocks below. No, they died because I wished it. That means this is mine. It isn't your fault. There is no need to think about it any further. But it happened because I wished it. No, that's wrong. Making wishes is one thing, but it is only at the whims of gods, demons, and witches that they may be granted. You bear no sin. Humans bear no sin. You can even claim that I killed them if you so desire. No, I did kill them. I took pity upon your misery and lured the servant with the baby to the cliff and let them down to it. It was simply an unfortunate accident. If you cannot accept that explanation, then blame it on us. That's why demons exist. That's right. We are here for your sake. It's not like you killed them. We killed them. So you are sinless. So please don't blame yourself, Natsuhi. Is that true? Am I truly sinless? Yes, you are. Young one who claims revenge from 19 years ago. If you're going to curse someone, curse me. However, witches have a patent on curses. Let me take on this fight you're trying to pick with Natsuhi. I am the Ushiromiya family alchemist. If anyone picks a fight with the master I serve, I will fight in my master's stead. Revenge for 19 years ago, you say? I'll make you learn that not even a blink of an eye for a witch who lived for 1,000 years. So, you ate Natsuhi for wishing your death 19 years ago? Let me make you remember just who it was that lured you off that cliff. As the middle-aged female servant cuddled the sobbing baby, she walked on a small path through the trees. Natsuhi had told her that the baby was too loud, so she tried to get as far from the rose garden as she could. She was completely unaware as to why she'd gone all the way out of her way to head in this direction. However, the sobbing baby suddenly stopped crying. Something was reflected in its eyes, but the servant couldn't tell what. However, thinking that the baby had stopped because he had taken an interest in something, she headed in the direction of the baby's gaze. The baby had seen a group of gold butterflies disappearing off into the trees, and on the other side of the trees, the servant saw a woman. Who? It was someone she didn't recognize, someone who couldn't possibly have been there. The baby stopped crying instead in that direction. Then, the servant's legs started to automatically carry her that way. Come this way, woman. Bring that cursed baby with you. And the woman couldn't disobey. She was completely overwhelmed by Beato's gold-glowing eyes. She walked lightly as though through a dream world. At some point the scenery around her had changed, but she did not notice. She could not notice. Though this should have been Rokkenjima, at some point it had become the garden of a mansion she had never seen before. It was a garden she had never seen before, even grander than the great rose garden of the Ushiromiya family, a garden of gold roses. There stood an arbor, and a woman wearing an elegant dress beckoning her. There was a man who looked like a butler, and the tea he poured with a beautiful gesture had a very nice and enticing smell. It was as though they were telling her to join their tea party. She couldn't disobey. She had to go to the master of this rose garden and give this child as an offering. Forgive me, woman. Curse your bad luck for being entranced by a witch. And surrounded by these gold roses, which you would never be able to enjoy in this world, sleep. Gap? Yes, understood. When Gap snapped her fingers, a pitch black hole opened at the woman's feet, and she was swallowed up along with the baby. The sight that the woman and the baby witnessed in that very next moment probably burned itself into their eyes forever. The two floated in the air and looked down at the gold rose garden spread out below them. Below their feet was not the ground, but an unobstructed view of the golden rose garden, which stretched as far as the eye could see. If one could have this scene imprinted in their mind as their last memory, that would be such a merciful way to die. Then the woman and the baby were swallowed up in the golden sea. The thud was remarkably plain and remarkably quiet for the sound of two lives being taken. However, it was a perfect fit for the entertainment at a tea party of witches. Darkness swallowed the woman and the baby and slowly expanded to engulf the entire rose garden. The sound of the wind grew stronger bit by bit. Was that TV static? What was that noise? It was the roar of the sea. The two who had died after falling from a great height into the thicket of golden roses were gradually engulfed by the roar of the sea, engulfed by the scenery of the beach below the cliff. I guarantee it. You are completely sinless. If someone wants revenge for 19 years ago, they need look no further than me. When I spotted the two of them on the rocks below, I went pale. Then I dashed back to the mansion, and there was a great uproar. We urgently rushed them to the hospital by boat, but from that height it was a miracle that I had even avoided an instant death. Both the servant and the baby died. In less than 3 days from the time father had entrusted me with that baby, I had killed it. My husband was on a business trip. Rosa-san, who still lived on the island at that time, was away traveling with her friends. Father and I were the only ones on Rokkenjima, and before anyone except father and I knew, a baby had appeared out of nowhere, and then disappeared again. That's right, it was a dream, a nightmare. I was convinced that father would blame me. However, his reaction was somehow strange.
読めていたぞこの天罰はな
I saw this coming. I knew this would happen. How long must you struggle? To what length would you go to escape being mine? I have no interest in an empty cage. Throw it away. And father learned of the accident, he kept on laughing and laughing as though nothing could be more amusing, to the point that just listening to him disturbed me. Perhaps something had come loose in his mind. That was the day that changed him. Father shut himself up inside the world of the occult even more than he ever had before. When my husband came back, he was astonished to see how eccentric father had now become. However, he had already accepted that this would happen sooner or later. Of course, my husband had heard about the baby. However, he told me that it was surely just some whim of father's, and to forget the whole episode. So I forgot. It was an unfortunate accident. No, there wasn't an accident at all. I forgot everything, even that the baby had existed in the first place. After all, it was a twisted nightmare which lasted not even 3 days. That's right, it was all a nightmare. I don't want to remember any of it. That cliff, the broken fence, the roar of the sea, and the wailing of that baby. So that baby is the baby of 19 years ago? Of course not. I killed that baby. It no longer exists in this world. However, there is no red truth in the human world. In the human world, nothing can be trusted. That's right, Beato, you definitely killed that baby. But in the human world, it might still be considered alive, whenever it's really alive or not. Whatever it's really alive or not. Catch my drift? Are you saying that it actually was alive after falling to the rocks from that height? I don't know, but calm down. No matter how much that person hates you, the truth is that it was an accident. If he does hate you, that hatred is completely unjustified. But even if I didn't lay a finger on him, inside my heart Calm down. No matter who that man from 19 years ago hates or what he yells, there's no way the sin he's after actually occurred. So calm down. Why don't I welcome the man from 19 years ago as my guest? And just when the riddle was solved and I thought my job was finished, I've got to entertain this final guest of mine. It's getting interesting. Not only are you protecting Lord Goldsmith's secret, but you also have a 19th guest, and a man from 19 years ago. That's right. To us who claim that Kinzo is alive, Erika is number 19. And in addition to that 19th piece, we have a man from 19 years ago. How interesting. I'm getting all excited. We have no lack of opponents. And I was just thinking it's a shame to have only one guest at my tea party. Come, you fools. Furudo Erika is Lady Berncaster's piece. In that case, whose piece is that man from 19 years ago? The voice which could be faintly overheard through the receiver was Natsuhi's. I understand. I'll sleep right now. I won't leave my room and I won't pick up the phone. È l'uomo di 19 anni fa. So please don't tell my husband and daughter. When heard through a receiver, even these begging screams, which would have shaken the heart of anyone who heard them, could be listened to with a heart of ice. As long as you keep your promise, I'll keep your secret, mother. Don't break our promise. I'm already very close by. I can easily tell whether you're turning your lights off or whether you're on the phone. If I wished to, I could even kiss your sleeping face.
守ります。
I'll keep it.
約束は守
I'll
り
keep my
ま
promise.
す。だからやめて。
So stop
もう
it.
やめ
Just stop it.
やめて。
The receiver was set down violently. He knew very well how bad an aftertaste you could leave for the other side just by the way you hang up the phone.
じゃあね。おやすみ、母さん。
Okay, good night, mother.
一丁
And there you go.
これで夏日
Now Natsuhi won't come out of her room tonight.
器用ね。
It's a very clever trick.
あんた、声
You
を
can
変えられ
change
る
your voice.
声くらい
Anyone
誰だって
can
変えら
change
れる
their
わよ
voice.
パパにおねだりの時は
A sweet
甘い
voice when you're begging Papa for a favor.
学校休む時
A
は風邪っぽい
whore-sounding voice when you're taking the day off school.
実は嫌いな友達
An
に断る時
apologetic
は
voice when
申し
you're
訳な
turning
さ
down
そう
a
な
friend
声
that you actually hate.
お望みなら
If you want,
どんな声で
I
も
can do
使うわけて。
any voice.
見せるけど
At all?
あんた、魔女
You
や
should
め
stop being a witch and become a voice actress.
これでお互い
So,
駒の準備は
Are all the pieces set up for both of us now?
フルドエリカ
Furdo Erika.
なかなか素敵な
What
子
a
じゃない
wonderful piece.
エンジェなんかより
She
はる
thought
かにベル
she
にふさわ
should.
しい子だわ
She suits you so much more than an angel did, Ben.
お褒めに預かりまして光栄
Your
です
praise honors me, Lady Lambda Delta.
こちらこそよろし
The
くね
pleasure is mine. She really is wonderful.
本当に可愛い
Super
魔女
adorable.
幻想に行く
I'm dying to break her spirit with my witch illusions and see her face twist in humiliation.
だそうよ。
Hear that?
私に恥を
Don't
かかせ
embarrass
ないで
me,
よね。
okay?
エンジェよりはるかに使
Show
え
me
る
that
駒
you're
だ
much
と
more than you're a much more useful piece than Angel was.
お任せを
Yes, leave it to me,
Lady
Lady Bencaster,
我が主
my master.
私はあのような
I'm nothing like that gloomy, dull, utterly
可愛げのか
charmless
けらもない
piece.
駒とは違います本当よ
She's so right.
エンジェなんてクズ肉になって
The only
バカな
useful
歌に
thing
つ
that
けていない
Angel did was get turned into meat chunks to fire Butler up.
家族愛とか兄
He
弟愛
had no
とか
interest at all in a family love or sibling love.
私たちが見たい
The
ゲー
game we
ムは
want to see is a more gruesome and sticky.
グロテスクでポップでキュートな殺人事件だもの
A grotesque pop and cute murder case.
夏日がキングで
If Natsu is the king,
ベアトがクイーンってとこかしら
then I wonder if Beato is the queen.
夏日をかばっ
The
た
pack of
群れで
witches and
魔女と
furniture guarding Natsui is less like a set of chess pieces and more like
ボーリングの
bowling pins, right?
夏日にベアと
Illusions of Natsui and Beato, Kinzo and the worthless furniture.
私たちを楽しませて
Entertain
みて
us a
くだ
bit,
さいよね
will ya?
特にベアと
Especially Beato.
私たち
We are bored of you now.
あんたの魔女
That
伝説
legend of the witch murder game of yours is over.
あんたの出番もおし
And
まい
your time is up too.
このゲーム版は
The
もう
game board is now
私とベアに
Ben's and
いただいたんだ
mine's now.
あんたなんて
It suits you to be reduced to one of our pieces and toyed with for all eternity.
夏日もベアトも
Both Natsui and Beato are sacks of filthy, rotten
薄皮
truth.
一枚で包んだ
Just
だけのズタ
entrails
袋だわ
wrapped up in a thin layer of skin,
それをズタズタに引
tearing
き裂
that
い
to
て
shreds and
中身を
dragging
引き
my
ずり出すことこそ
the inside
私の
out will be one of my, no,
私
one
た
or
ちの
our
数少ない娯楽
few
なの
pleasures.
楽し
Yes,
く遊べ
you
る
can
わ
have
よ
a lot of fun with that.
ねえ見てる
Hey, are you
ベ
watching?
アトリーチェ
Beatrice?
あんたのゲーム版は
Look at how
こんなに
much
楽し
fun
く
can
遊
be
べるの
had
よ
playing with your board.
私が見せてあげるわ
I'll show you
本当に
a
楽しい
fifth
第
game
4の
that's
ゲームを
actually
ね
fun.
私たちばっかり気持
It's
ち
a
よ
bit
く喋
sad
っ
if
ちゃ
you're the
かわい
the
そう
only
だ
ones having a pleasant chat.
ベアトにも喋
Why
ら
don't
せて
you
あ
let
げて
Beato talk too?
だそうよ
Hear that?
特別に発
I'll
言
give you
を許すわ
special permission to
あん
talk.
たのゲームの
What do you hope to gain from this latest game? Nothing, she says.
そうよねそうよね
That's right, that's right. You're the loser who got crushed by Butler.
私に負け
Leave
て
it to
なさい
me, okay?
魔女側優
I'll
先
put the
に
witch
一気に
side
流れ
on
を変え
top
てあ
in
げ
a
るから
snap.
ただあったという駒は
I'm gonna be sacrificing you as a piece in the process.
気分も第一の
What a dreadful loss of face for Beatrice, keeper of the gold, to have her epitaph so easily solved before the first twilight.
夏日の幻想
Isn't it great that you're being left as a piece, as part of Natsuhi's fantasy? Well, except that we're treating you as a pin now instead of a piece.
黄金の魔女ベアトリー
The
チェ
golden
だ
witch
って
Beatrice is out of the picture now.
あんたとその
In my
カードたち
game,
は
you and your
私のゲー
furniture
ムでは
only
ほ
have
ん
a
のちょいよ
teeny
くやられ
tiny
る
role. A loser's
気
role.
持ちよく
You can enjoy getting tossed and
私のゲー
thrown
ムをおも
around
ちゃ
and
に
made
させ
into
なさいよ
toys for me and Ben.
嫌ならやめて
If that's not what you want, just tell us to stop.
そしたらやめてあ
And
げるから
we'll stop.
嫌じゃない
She doesn't mind.
あんたピン確定
Pin confirmed. There's no need for a golden witch anymore. All that's needed is a sacrificial doll so that we two witches can enjoy some more time playing. Die, disappear. Confess to your filthy past and your crimes. Pour out your sob story of regret and repentance as you throw yourself off a cliff and die. There will be no more appearances for the golden witch. This will be a most horrible game. On the surface, it does look very similar to the usual tales. However, there is no respect given to the true main characters of this tale. This is supposed to be the tale of which the Golden Witch Beatrice invited Ushiromiya Butler. However, when a host has been lost, there is no longer a guest. With both inviter and invitee now gone, only the worst kind of tale remains. Welcome to the 5th game, End of the Golden Witch. Welcome to a party which neither host nor guests, hijacked by wicked witches.
いいバトラー
Ready, Butler?
いよいよ
The
2日目を始
second
め
day
るわ
is about to start. I hate Beato's kind of slow, plodding storytelling.
好きにしやがれ
Do your
お前
worst.
が何を書き
No
回そう
matter how much you mess things up,
必ずこのゲーム
I'm
の
still
真相
gonna
にた
reach
ど
the
り着いて
truth of this game.
そうでなくては困ります
As you must.
妹さんのた
For
め
the
にも
sake of your little sister, if nothing else. Tirale un pugno, per favore, Butler.
ご安心を
Don't worry.
ラムダデルタ卿
Lady
は
Lambda Delta may be a
ベアトリーチェの
far
招き
more
口は
terrifying
は
opponent
るか
than
に
that
恐ろしい
fool
相手ですが
Beatrice.
私がしっか
But
り
I'll
サ
be
ポート
giving
す
you
るので
plenty of
問
support,
題ありま
so
せん
there won't be any problems.
私と一緒に
Let's work together, and this time we'll expose the witch illusions for what they really are.
お前なんか知らね
I don't give a damn about
えベ
you.
アトのゲームに
I
いな
won't
かった
accept
存在だ
anything or anyone that wasn't a part of Beato's games,
必要ともし
and I don't need your help.
強がり言ってる場合ですか
Is now really the time to act tough?
ま
Oh well,
お互い
let's both give it our all, okay?
一緒に
Together, let's tear these witches' illusions to shreds. Erika brazenly put her hand out for me to shake. Instead of just passively ignoring this, I gave her an active and clear answer by knocking her hand aside.
握手は嫌いです
Looks like he hates shaking
エンジェ
hands,
と同じよ
just like Angel.
ご安心を
Don't worry,
私はエンジェより
I'm far more useful piece than Angel.
バトラさんの投資
I'm
を
nothing at all like shredded meat that couldn't possibly accomplish anything besides restoring Butler Sun's fighting spirit.
頼もしそうな
Isn't it great that you've been blessed with such helpful looking allies?
では悪気
In the past it was Virgilia and Renove, then Ange came as well.
そしてとうとう
And now you have Bern and Erika. There are so many pieces supporting you. And despite all of that, you still can't get even a glimpse of the truth. How does it feel to be that incompetent? How does it feel? It doesn't matter. This battle is between me and Beato. Everyone else besides us doesn't matter. Oh, is that true? Are you finally standing on your own? You've always had someone helping you or showing you mercy, so I wonder just how far you'll get on your own. I'm gonna enjoy watching this. I'm taking it back. This is our game. And you two aren't invited. Yes, that's true. This is your game. Then show us you're capable of reclaiming it. You couldn't even win Beato's games when she went easy on you at every turn. Show us how far you can take Lambda's completely ruthless game without anyone's help. Now awaken, Ushiramiya Butler. Welcome to the morning of October 5th. Che bella Dear, mi piace un sacco come canzone. Mi sa che è nuova, non so se l'abbiamo mai sentita. Crack. Morning of Tragedy, the second day, October 5th, 1986. Vedendo chi è morto, contando che sono tutti i ragazzi tranne che Butler, ho un brutto presentimento. Was it someone's alarm clock? A repetitive electronic beeping noise filled the room. Butler, who had gone to bed late and hadn't had anywhere near enough sleep yet, covered his head in his blanket and waited for someone to turn off the alarm. But no matter how much time passed, the beeping didn't stop. I see. The point of an alarm clock isn't just to be loud enough to wake you, but to be annoying enough to keep you from wanting to fall back asleep. Hey guys, the alarm's going off. Make it stop, please. Why do we always sound so annoyed when we first waking up? Scusa? When first waking up, okay. Well, it does make sense after all. We're still sleepy and in a bad mood. However, there was absolutely no sign that my annoyed voice had caused anyone to turn over in their sleep, much less crawl out of bed to stop the alarm. Letting out a deep sigh, I flung the covers off me and got up. With the shutters down on the windows, there was almost no light getting in, and the room was as dim as it had been earlier. Though even if the shutters hadn't been down, there's no way that this dull weather would let in enough sun to make this a pleasant morning. My cousins were still wrapped up in their beds, sound asleep and taking no notice whatsoever of that beeping. Normally, once any one person gets up, the others tend to automatically follow. Annoyed that the law of consecutive summer camp awakening that I've come up with had just been broken, I drowsily searched for the source of the sound. I couldn't hear it coming from our wristwatch set. I could hear it from our wristwatch set on the table. Judging by the style of the watch, it was probably George Aniki's. Taking a random guess, I pushed a small button on the side of it and the sound stopped. Apparently, it had been set for 7 in the morning. Is it already 7? Sorry, but I really don't feel like I slept at all. Playing cards had been left on the table as though they had just stopped mid-game. But the game looked like 7s. Sette bello. Damn it, I've got a piercing headache. What the hell was all that last night? A mountain of gold and the subsequent argument between our parents. It all feels like a bad dream. So stupid. Breakfast normally starts at 8. Now isn't a bad time to start getting up and getting dressed. The adults probably won't argue in front of us cousins. In that case, I think I'll stay with my cousins all day long. I'm sure they'll be able to keep me away from all that annoying talk about the gold and being the successor and all. In fact, I should have done that in the first place. I slept with my clothes on last night too, so I'm drenched in sweat. Gross. I guess I'll take a shower. I'm sure the others want to as well. At this age it's embarrassing to wake them by shaking their shoulders, so if I turn on the TV, everyone will probably wake up. Well, let's at least turn the lights on for now. In this dim light, with the quiet sound of the continuing wind and rain, it really doesn't feel like morning's come yet. I flipped the light switch, and then that dimly lit morning ended. It's just too much. How could anyone get away with something like this? As they clung to Anakin's corpse, knowing that he would never wake up again, Auntie Eva and Uncle Hideyoshi cried. È vero? Please, let him go now. You think George-kun would lie the two of you to see him this way? Of course not. Aniki, I know how you feel, but let's have Dr. Nanjo handle this. How could you understand? George was killed. Dr. Nanjo's right. You mustn't keep looking at George like this. This is for his sake. He's gotta hold back for now. When Auntie Eva tried even harder to cling to that corpse, Dad and Uncle Hideyoshi dragged her away and had a heated debate with her beside the wall. No. Help him. If he's lost too much blood, do a blood transfusion. George and I have the same blood type. I beg you. Eva-san, pains me to say this, but George-kun needs what George-kun needs right now isn't your blood. Dr. Nanjo shook his head slightly, then nodded across to where I stood. I softly pulled the blanket up and covered George Aniki's body. His throat had been split wide open. The wound was probably larger and deeper than his mouth. Did it look like a clean and neat corpse now that his neck was at least covered? Of course not. The large amount of blood that had spilled from the wound stained the bed in a horrible dark red, and even covering him with a blanket couldn't hide blood that had poured out. After all, there were large dark red stains on the blanket too, so that even once he was covered with it, the gruesomeness of the body was still being thrust in our faces. So I stripped the blankets off my own bed and placed one on top. But I only had 2 blankets. If I covered just one more body, I wouldn't be able to cover any more. Feeling pity for the ones I couldn't cover for some reason, in spite of the situation, I muttered, "Don't complain about not getting the same as everyone else," in my head. Kirie pulled their blankets over them. I'll catch cold. Sure. Kirie-san and I covered the other bodies with the blankets in the same way as George Aniki's, so that even they wouldn't have to suffer the indignity of having their terrible wounds exposed like this anymore. In one bed rested Jessica. Jessica was exactly the same as George Aniki's. Though she appeared to be resting quietly in bed, her throat had been sliced deep and the wound laid open in a brutal way. And Maria was the same. Not only Maria, there was one more victim. Lying on the bed, sleeping alongside her, was Auntie Rosa. George Aniki, Jessica, Maria e Nonti Rosa. Adesso qui si sono aggiornati di nuovo. Sì. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ne mancano altri 2 però. First Night sono 6. First Twilight sono 6. Questi li abbiamo già letti. In this room were 4 people who had been killed, their throats sliced open. They'd probably been like that since last night, and I came back to the room completely ignorant, snuggled under the covers, and fell asleep right next to them. Also, all of them had a horizontal cut across their throats. I had been forced to see all the way into the depths of those gashes in everyone's throat. Those cuts might even have reached as far as halfway into their necks. If you try to open one up, you'll probably be able to see that the gash reached all the way to the bone. The only wounds were the single gash on each neck, so if you could just cover the necks with your hand, you might just be able to persuade yourself that they were merely sleeping. But even so, the frighteningly deep wound was incredibly gruesome. There's no such thing as clean or dirty ways of killing. All methods of killing are equally brutal, but even so, this was incredibly brutal. And there was one more thing which adorned those brutal murders to make them even more unsettling. Drawn very large on the wall was something like a eerie magical circle. It was drawn in a bright red paint which looked like blood, make it look as though some disturbing ritual had taken place in this room, which with the four of them offered as human sacrifices. However, none of us were paying any attention to it. No one has a heart so cold that he could witness the deaths of those close to them and still worry about some graffiti on the wall. Adesso arriva Erika. Cos'è quella roba lì? Good morning, everyone. Oh, what a wonderful magic circle. The girl who bragged that she drew more pleasure from the process of exploring the truth than from the truth itself, and who went so far as to call herself an intellectual rapist, appeared in the hall. When she saw the extraordinary creepy magic circle in the guest room, I heard what was unmistakably a sigh of admiration escape her lips. Don't come in here. I overheard the details from the corridor. Is it four people who had passed away? Allow me to express my sincere condolences. On Erika's face, no, that's not it. It was in her eyes. In Erika's eyes, I could only see a shameless smile that was hard to describe. She found this entertaining. She found the outbreak of a crime entertaining. It was like the smile of a kid waiting in the wings at a school play moments before she was due to come on stage. Sorry, Erika-chan. We're busy at the moment. Could you wait in your room? I'm afraid not. It is the detective's right to investigate the scene. We said we don't want you here. You're not one of the family, so you have to respect. So you have the respect to back off. It is disappointing. It is a disappointing third-rate mystery in which the suspects blocking access to the murder scene turns out to be the culprit. At least, in my humble opinion. Who gives a damn about what you want? Get out! No one needs you here. Erika-chan, I'm really sorry about this, but could you return to your room? We're busy here. Move out of the way, please. I can't investigate the crime scene. If there's a need for that, we'll do it ourselves or leave it to the police. Like hell, you have the right to defile their bodies even further. Detective authority. The detective has the right to investigate all crime scenes. Move out of the way, Ushiromiya Butler. This is my legitimate right within the game as granted to the human side. Those words, which seemed to be utterly ridiculous at first, were words of power that had come from a world much higher than theirs. Butler was thrown back by an unseen power and landed on his butt. Struck silent by Erika's quiet intensity and the bizarre, suffocating atmosphere, nobody was able to prevent her from entering the room. Rest assured, my goal is not to profane the dignity of the deceased, and I have no desire to peer into the ghastly gashes in their throats. What I wish to ascertain is something completely different. Namely, who committed these murders? Dr. Nanjo and the rest of you. And particularly, Butler's son, the first who discovered the bodies. I have a number of questions for you, so I hope you will oblige me. Are you listening? What gives you the right? Because I am the detective. Butler couldn't argue against this incomprehensible nonsense. No, he wasn't permitted to argue. It was a restriction placed on pieces. Erika summoned Dr. Nanjo and got him to tell her in detail about his preliminary findings. Normally, he wouldn't have spoken of that to an outsider so casually. However, for some reason, the atmosphere about the place had begun to make it feel as though nothing should be hidden from Erika. Okay, let's enjoy this first twilight of lambdas. 4 corpses? That's 2 corpses short. Well, she doesn't necessarily have to see it as 6 people are killed, but that's how we've been playing. That girl is completely clueless, so she must have killed 2 more people somewhere. There's a magic circle on the wall representing the first twilight, similar to the ones in Beato's games. That girl talks big, but I wonder just how closely she can imitate Beato. Your Hebrew sure is crappy, Lambda. You're getting this part slightly wrong. What the heck? What's going on? Why is there a magic circle? I bet someone wanted to try imitating Beatrice-sama. What a crappy magic circle. Chissà se è diverso. This isn't some fun imitation. Some human deliberately drew this to make it look like Beatrice-sama's own work. Anyway, let's report to Beatrice-sama about this. Even though we're already up to our eyeballs just protecting Goldsmith's secret. What a pain. These murders have no beauty to them at all. It isn't a locked room or anything, and there's nothing impossible about it. Sloppy murders like this aren't worthy of Beatrice-sama's at all. Fudo Erika, an unexpected woman for an unexpected crime. And there's that unexpected man from 19 years ago. And if you add on the fact that Butler has already solved the epitaph, this game is completely different from normal. What the heck's going on? Let's go. In the kitchen, Goda was preparing a wonderful breakfast at a brisk pace. The main dish would be herb omelette. Even simple foods could become an invigorating feast under Goda's skillful hands. He was planning to complete all the others' preparations for the meal here beforehand, and then cook the individual omelets fresh before their eyes in the dining hall, serving them up one by one. Mamma che voce suave, Goda, dovresti fare il cantante. Goda hummed as he continued his preparations in high spirits. When Shannon, who was helping out, saw Goda like this, her mood also brightened. She arranged the salad in a neat little pattern and showed it to Goda.
こんな感じでどうでしょう。
How's this?
トマトの
I
感じ
think the
は
tomatoes
ち
look
ょっと
a
可
bit
愛くなったと
cuter
思い
this
ま
way.
す。
実に良いですよ。
Very nice.
シャノンさんもなか
You're
なか
really getting the hang of
わかりまし
this.
たね。
Shannon-chan. The two happy people gave each other a high five. Shannon didn't like Goda when he was sneaky, but she had no problem at all with him when he was cooking happily. She sometimes even thought it would have been nice if his contract hadn't included any jobs beside cooking. If that had been the case, he wouldn't have had to get in a bad mood doing unnecessary jobs. The dining hall is ready. You can carry it. You can carry it in whenever you want.
もうじきですので。
We are almost good to go. So please, let's get the serving cart ready. Without thinking, even Kumasawa caught Goda's high spirits. The kitchen had a very nice smell and atmosphere about it, truly refreshing for so early in the morning. Sono morti tutti, va! Okay. Then Kanon came back in his usual bad mood he'd always had from the moment he woke up. Kanon and Genji were in charge of getting many things ready for the morning, such as opening the curtains. However, Kanon had been alone today, so he had taken much longer than usual. I'm done. Where's Genji-sama?
まだいらっし
È
ゃ
vero
る
che è
の
morto anche Genji? He still isn't
珍し
here.
いわね。
That's unusual for him, isn't
寝
it?
坊されるなんて。
I never know him to sleep in.
あの源氏さんでもお寝坊ね。
I guess even Genji-san sleeps in sometimes.
親族会議の最
That's
中だと
rather
いうのは
careless of
緊張
him,
感に欠けて
considering
ま
that
すね。
this is in the middle of the family
カノン
conference.
さん、起
Kanon-san,
こしてきてあげてく
can
れ
you
ません
wake him
か。
up for us?
はい。
Yes.
寝ぼけまな
I
この
wonder
源
what
氏さんってど
Genji-san's
んな
face
顔なの
looked like when he's half asleep. Looks like when he's half asleep.
私もご一緒しますよ。
Let me go with you. Even though Goda had asked her to get the serving cart ready, Kumasawa followed nimbly after Kanon, skillfully skipping work. La maga del saltare le mansioni al lavoro. As Kanon muttered about how Goda was the one who slept in all the time, he headed for the servants' sleeping quarters.
カノンさんは今
So,
朝
you didn't
起こ
wake
さなか
him
ったん
up
です
this
か？
morning, Kanon-san?
僕は昨夜
Last night I fell asleep while still in the servant room, so I didn't return to the servants' quarters. Last night, Kanon had dozed off while in the middle of his late night shift, falling asleep in the servant room. Shannon had been kind enough to put a blanket on him, but he had just made it so warm that he fell into an even deeper sleep. So he hadn't returned to his bed in the servants' quarter last night. Because of that, he hadn't met Genji, not even once this morning. He knocked on the door.
源氏様
Genji-sama, it's
おは
Kanon.
ようございます
Good morning.
あらあら。
Oh
Mother,
my,
why are
I
you
wonder
fasting?
if he's still sleeping.
失礼します
Excuse me. When Kanon was about to open the door, he noticed something strange on the upper part of it. What is this? Duct tape? A small strip of duct tape was stuck along the frame of the door, almost as though it was sealing the door shut. Furthermore, there was small slits made with scissors along the center of the duct tape. So if you open the door even a slight amount, it would be torn in two. Also, written sloppily across the duct tape was with a fine pen was what appeared to be someone's signature. It was written in a very elaborate and decorative manner, and if it was a signature, Kano had no idea whose name was written. I wonder if it's some sort of prank.
わからないけど
I don't know, but there's no point in worrying about it right now. Genji-sama, excuse me. Opening the door, ripping the duct tape. Nothing in particular happened when it was ripped, so the strange piece of duct tape was quickly forgotten. The room was dimly lit. The bunk bed, lower bunk, still had a lamp under the blanket. Apparently, Genji was still
おはようご
sleeping.
ざいます源氏様
Good morning, Genji-sama.
源氏さんらしくも
Oh,
ない
it isn't like you.
朝でございますよ
It's morning.
源氏様
何ですかこれは何ですかこれは
What's this? What is this? There was a large, dark red stain on the blanket. Though this one was one of the servants' blankets, even those were kept clean. There was no way they would have a stain like this. Kanon hesitantly peeled back Genji's blanket, saw what was left of him, and was shocked into silence. What the heck? His throat's being cut right across. It's a sharp cut. You couldn't cut through flesh like that without a blade of considerable length. What's going on? Butler solved the riddle of the epitaph, right? Why are murders happening? I don't know. In any event, this isn't good. We should report about this to Beatrice-sama and Natsuhi-sama. Belfe, hurry, and report to Lucine. Understood. After dashing out, Kumasawa called Goda and Shannon over. Then this new pair let out screams identical to the first two. Hey Goda, stop making breakfast! Is now really the time to be saying that? There's no chance they'll be having a quiet and peaceful breakfast on the second day. I have a bad feeling about this. Genji might not be the only one. Let's check the entire mansion. Something else might have happened. Yes, One-sama. Natsuhi sprang awake at the sudden sound of the phone. To Natsuhi, the fact that she'd woken up was surprising in itself. She had thought that she was going to spend the whole night unable to sleep out of fear that the mysterious man might come in at any moment, but at some point she must have fallen asleep. Of course, she didn't feel rested at all. As she groaned from the dull pain in her head, which hadn't gone away once since last night, she managed to get out of bed. Good morning, Natsuhi-sama. Good morning. It's a horrible morning. Don't worry. No one attempted to enter this room. I see. Thanks for keeping watch all night. Even so, that didn't mean she hadn't been able to sleep peacefully. The continuing ringing on the phone made her headache throb even more strongly. I believe it would be wise to answer the phone. Also, I have some bad news to report from my sisters. Let's leave the bad news for later. I'll answer the phone first. Natsuhi shook her head to wake herself and picked over the receiver. Then she regretted not listening to Lucifer's bad news first, because she wanted the first thing she heard about on this horrible morning to be something better than this. Morning, mother. Sleep well? That voice told her that this horrible morning, this nightmare, was still not over. I kept my promise. I've been holed up in this room the whole time. Of course, I haven't been on the phone either. But you did pick up this phone call, didn't you? Well... Just kidding. This is just a wake-up call I'm giving my beloved mother. Good morning, mother. How far do you intend to mock me? Natsuhi gripped the receiver so hard it creaked. I wanted you to leave your seat so I could set up for the party. Thanks to you behaving yourself, everything's ready now. Of course, you're the main guest, mother. What are you planning to do? That's for you to look forward to. Don't worry, I won't keep you waiting. It's already begun. Oh, that's right. Wait a sec. There's someone I want you to hear. Huh? There was the sound of the receiver being jolted around. The phone was apparently being passed to someone else, but there was a clunking, clattering noise, as though it was taking a lot of effort to hand the receiver over. Who in the world was he giving the phone to? From what Natsuhi knew of this man, no matter who he was giving the phone to, it couldn't be good news for her. Untie me, you coward! Dear, is that you? Untie me! Untie me! It was without a doubt the voice of her husband. However, he didn't respond to Natsuhi's voice. Perhaps he was bound somewhere in the darkness. Kraus, not realizing that Natsuhi was on the other end of the phone, repeatedly demanded that he be untied. Your husband is here. His eyes and ears are covered, so he can't talk. But I think you can tell that he's in perfect health. What are you after? Let my husband go. I'll let him go tomorrow. If you'll keep two promises, that is. What are they? One, that you keep it a secret that I am taking care of your husband. Sooner or later, the others in the mansion will probably raise a fuss that they're unable to find Kraus. But you know nothing, and you will say nothing. Understand? I understand. What's the other condition? It's just a little game. At 1 in the afternoon, you will go into the foremost guest room on the first floor of the mansion and hide in the closet. Guest room? Why should I go into a closet? It's just a little game of hide and seek. If you can hide there for an hour without anyone finding out, you win. If someone does find out, you lose. If I lose, what happens? Nothing in particular. Isn't that what playing is all about? If you play along with this hide and seek, I'll release your husband tomorrow. You're going to keep that promise. I hope. Of course. Make sure you do too, mother. If you break our promise, I'll know right away. Just then there was a sudden, loud knock on the door of to Natsuhi's room. Her heart leapt automatically. Madame, are you in there? Good morning. With Goda and Kano. Madame, please wake up. The voices coming through the door were Kanon and Goda's. The knock had been wild and their voices a little shrill. It seemed that something strange had happened and that they were agitated. What is it? Did something happen? It's nothing. It looked like the servants have arrived. I'm hanging up. Sure, I've said everything I wanted to, so don't break our promise.
わかりました。
I understand.
あなたこそ
And you don't break your
約束を
promise
破
either.
らないのですよ。違うね。
You've got it wrong.
母さんがそれを決めるんだよ。
That's for you to decide.
僕に約束破らせないでね。
Don't make me break my promise.
母
Mother,
今日一日
I'll be watching you all day today, Mother. Clack. Lambda Delta slammed the receiver down on the antique phone, then the phone exploded into bits and changed into a spray of gold, which became a group of gold butterflies and disappeared.
踊ってちょうだいね
Dance for me,
19
Natsuhi.
年前の罪に
Dance
怯
in
えなが
fear
ら
of
ね
your sin of 19 years ago.
私のターンも順調よ
My turn is going pretty well. Okay, your turn now, Beato. Bern. Magari, Beato. Totenblume, nuova canzone.
どうせ無駄なんだろう
I'm sure it is a waste of time, but confirm for me whether the communication with the outside world is possible through calling the police.
外線は使用不能
The external line is unusable.
内線は使
The
えるみたい
internal line seems like it can be used though.
台風で船も使用不
Both
能
can't be used either because of the typhoon. I guess that completes the closed circle,
お
huh?
めでとう
Congrats.
これで出るんだ
You're now a full detective, Ben. Police intervention sometimes robs the detective of some of her authority. However, with the construction of a closed circle, the existence of the police had been denied forever. From now on, the authority of the detective piece will be completely guaranteed.
はいはいありがとう
Yes, thank you for your
それ
generosity.
じゃ
Then I guess it's time to get this game started. Erika, you are the main character. Now, begin. Genji-san? 5 people have been killed? Yes. It was so horrible. It was exactly the same as the 4 in the guest house. His throat was sliced open with a terribly sharp blade. I can't believe that even though I had the midnight shift, I didn't notice anyone suspicious. Don't blame yourself. If you bumped into the killer, you might be one of the dead right now. On top of that, the phones aren't even connecting without any boats come in this weather. We're really up to the creek now.
ということは
And that means it's very likely that the killer is still nearby. Then what?
海軍が
Does that mean we're trapped here with a murderer until the typhoon passes and the boat
と
comes?
一緒にいるというわけですか
We'll be alright.
こうしてみんなで一緒にいれば犯人だって手出し
If we all stay together like this, even the killer won't be able to lay a finger on us.
しかもだ
Jessica, I can't believe it.
私たち
We won't let ourselves be killed like the others.
ジョージの敵
I
を
will have my vengeance for George. I'll never let them get away with this. Never.
誰が犯人
No matter who did it or what their reason was, I swear I'll get revenge on whoever killed George. I'll kill them, I'll murder them. Mi piace Eva che è distrutta, ma come sempre lei è molto emotiva su queste cose. Natsuhi è tipo, anche Jessica. Cosa di sudore.
はい皆さん
Alright, has everyone gotten their weeping out of their systems? Let's have some order,
ク
please.
ラウスさんは
Has someone seen
まだ
Klaus-san
お見え
yet?
にならないのですかさっきから電話
We've
を
been
かけ
calling
している
him
の
for a
ですが
while, but he isn't answering.
が外れて
Could the receiver be off the hook? No, we could hear it ringing.
聞こえていない
He
は
would
ずなのです
certainly have heard it.
どういう
What does it mean?
まさか
You don't think Uncle Klaus too?
やっぱりね。
I thought it would
こんな
happen.
時に不謹
I
慎。
hate to say it at a time like
ゲ
this,
ストハウス
but
の4人に現
there
地
were 4 in the guest house plus Genji to make
もう
5.
一人いるだろうと
I
予想はして
figured there would be one more.
どうしてよ。
Why?
どうしてそんな
How
こと
could you
が
know
わかるの？
that?
あんたが犯
Are
人なの？
you the killer?
あんたが
Did you
ジョー
kill
ジを殺
George?
したの？
やめなさいエヴァさん
Stop it, Eva-san.
今はそんなこと
No,
を
it's
し
not
と
the
る場合
time.
では
Eva got agitated and grabbed by got agitated and grabbed at Kiria. Nanjo stepped in between them and it grew into a bit of a scuffle. Watching this, Erika smiled condescendingly and shrugged.
でしょうね。
But of course, anyone could have predicted 6 victims from the moment they witnessed the crime scene in the guest house.
4人しか死体
In
がなか
fact,
ったの。
I've been wondering who the other 2 would have been since I saw there were only 4 corpses.
なんでそんなことが
How
わか
could
る
you
の
know
よ？
such a thing?
あんたが
You
殺したの。
killed him?
あんたがジョ
You
ージ
killed
を
George?
許さんかエヴァ
Quit it, Eva.
キリエ
Erika-chan,
さん
Kiria-san.
なんでそんなことが
How
わかる
could you know that?
適当なことは言わんといてや
Can't you think before you talk?
簡単な連想。
It's a quite simple connection to
ゲ
make.
ストハウスの
The
犯行現場
graffiti
に
drawn
書か
at
れ
the
てい
scene
た
on the
落書きは
crime in the guest house was a magic circle.
魔法と殺人か
I
ら連
just
想
thought
する
of
も
the
のを考え
things
た。
that are connected to both magic and murders. I see the epitaph.
そうか
I see.
第一
It's the first twilight. Huh?
どういうことです
What's
か？
going on?
いいえ
Well, I don't have a clue either.
やっぱり
そんなことか。
Is that how it
魔
is?
女め。
That damn witch.
これはやっぱり
So, is this really
ベアトリーチェ様の仕業なの。
Beatrice-sama's doing?
あんたたち。
Why do you all keep talking as if you know something?
私にはさっ
I
ぱ
don't
りわ
have a
からないの
clue.
よ。説明なさいよ。
Someone
誰か。
explain.
だからエヴァ
Eva, please.
少し
Calm down a bit.
そういうことです。
That's all there is
あの
to it.
犯行現場
From
の
the
魔法陣
moment I saw the magic circle at the
こ
crime
の
scene,
殺人が
I had an hypothesis that this was the murder following the epitaph's first
犠牲
twilight,
者は
and there
6
will
人
be
であることは
6
想像できていま
victims.
した。ただ魔法陣がそこに存在するだけでフルダエリカはこの程度の推理が可能でいかがでしょうか。皆様方
All it takes is the presence of that magic circle, and a deduction like this becomes trivial for Furudo Erika. Your thoughts, ladies and gentlemen?
クラウスおじさん
And you're saying that Uncle Kraus was killed as well?
そうだとも決めつけ
We
られま
can't
せん。
be sure of
こ
that.
こに来ないのは
Kraus-san isn't the only one not present here.
もう一人。
There's one more. For just an instant, Natsuhi's brow furrowed, as she feared she wouldn't be able to avoid the topic of the study.
まさか
You don't mean
親父
dead?
おい
Hey,
誰か書斎には
someone
連絡
must
した
have
んだろうな
someone must have contacted the study, right?
もちろん
Of course, I
お電話
placed a
させていただき
call
ま
and
したし
even knocked on the
ノッ
door,
クをさせていただきましたですがその
but there was no response.
当主様は
The head is completely immersed in his own research. He sometimes leaves the receivers off the hook so that calls will not disturb him, and even ignores knocking at the door.
しかし
But the line wasn't busy when I...
とにかく
In any
主
case,
人の無事を
our
確かめ
first
る方が
priority must be to ensure that my husband is alive and
主
well.
人の寝室へ
Let's
行き
go
まし
to
ょう。
his bedroom at once. Natsuhi stood up in a flurry and dashed out into the corridor. Rudolph and the others immediately chased after her, telling her to wait.
さあさあ
Come
皆さん
on
ご
now,
一緒に
everyone, you'd better follow her.
三流ミステリー
In
の
both third-rate mystery and splatter films, the people who act alone tend to die first. So of course that must have also hold for this
ベ
game.
アとっては三流だ
Beato truly is third rate. But in third-rate disaster and action movies, if there's one who acts alone, it's the one who acts alone who survives, right? Weird.
もはや碑文は解かれたというの。
Even though the epitaph has already been solved,
誰が
who's behind this
こんな真似を
farce?
ラムダデルタ
It might be the work of this man from 19 years ago. who is thought to be Lady Lambda Delta's piece. Oh yes, that can't be true. Beato has already stated in red in previous games that with Kinzo's disappearance, no more than 17 people exist, and no 18th person exists. And now that Erika has been added, it's been stated that no 19th person exists. There's no room for this man from 19 years ago to appear on the island. Then the identity of the man from 19 years ago is either one of the existing humans or else. Even if a 90th person isn't permitted by the red, sleeping in a 90th person there is no trouble for me, no trouble for witches. Now it's getting interesting. Why don't we watch how things unfold for a little longer? Still, that Lady Lambda Delta and Lady Burncaster, they finally started doing whatever they like with my game board. Didn't you know that would happen when you invited them? As a witch, I have the same dislikes for boredom as they do. Even the unexpected brings the kind of joy a witch expects. So, be it. Bring it on. It's great that you're so eager, but things have taken a nasty turn. You know that, right? I concur. I would hesitate to call this a good time to wait and see what happens next. I know that, at this rate, Kinzo's existence will become a problem once again. And the barrier around the study won't last long. Not at all. Things are going to get even worse. Imagine this. Move 1, move 2, move 3. Cornered. Natsuhi. Gap whispered something in Beato's ear. Beato's mouth slowly widened into a crooked smile. That Erika has brought everyone together. That Erika has brought everyone together is actually convenient for us. All darkness outside the range of observers belongs to us demons. This may be the only time to make that move. Natsuhi is the king. She can't move far, but we cannot allow her to be taken. Let's make the first move. If we slip up here, Natsuhi will be cornered. Gap, can I count on you? Of course. I'll blow a hole through locked rooms, tricks, alibis and mystery alike. Leave it to me. I'll deal with it. Ha fatto il nanjo di episodio 4. A pitch black hole opened up in the floor and swallowed up Gap, along with the chair she sat in. Then, a hole opened up in the ceiling and spat out just the chair back out, dropping it back into its original spot. Things are becoming troublesome. I see. So, against Lady Lambda Delta, even I am nothing more than a mere piece. They say that in the opening, you should worry more about the development than the capture of pieces. I'm just no match for that lady. I won't let her do that. Natsuhi is the final master I will serve. Know that this is a piece you'll never be allowed to take as long as she has a contract with me. Kraus' room was empty. The bed was also empty. But massive bloodstains similar to the crime scenes where the other 5 were murdered remained there. But there was no corpse. Nope. Then he isn't dead. Maybe not. Prima volta che vediamo la stanza di Kraus, incredibile. Tutta blu, perché lui è un maschietto. What's going on? Where's Nissan? Judging by this blood-stained bed, I don't like to think about it, but we just probably assume that he was killed with his neck cut open, just like the other people in the guest house. Probably. Judging by the amount of blood lost, it's hard to imagine that he's alright. Where did Kraus-sama go? Adesso ci è stato dato un... Ah no, qua ci... Ah, eccolo qua. Eccolo qua. Went missing from his room on the second floor of the mansion. There were large amounts of blood on the bed, making the situation bear a strong resemblance to those of the other victims. He is the only victim of the first twilight whose body was never witnessed. E, visto che ci siamo... Non mi sa che ho sbagliato qua. Lo lascio, dopo sistemerò, perché mi sa che ho lasciato quello del gioco scorso per Kraus. Ha il colpo in testa. Non ha nessun taglio al collo. Nel caso non ha... nel caso il cadavere venga trovato più avanti, e magari facevo spoiler. Non ha il taglio sulla gola, ha un colpo in testa che è come morto nello scorso. Quindi mi sono dimenticato di metterlo, quindi vabbè, per il momento lo lasciamo così, lo correggerò nel frattempo. Large amounts of blood stained the bed, but there were no similar marks on the floor of the room. Whether Kraus had run to safety somewhere after being seriously wounded, or whether he'd been killed and carried off somewhere, they had no clue where this somewhere was. Natsuhi knew. Though Natsuhi had been sounding far from his best over the phone, he at least hadn't sounded like he was on the brink of death. In other words, those blood stains had to be a ruse. That might not even be blood. Just what is that man thinking? Ho detto Natsuhi, incredibile Natsuhi. What is all of this? No, on the first twilight, sacrifice the six. Is that what this is? What Kraus-Nissan? Was Kraus-Nissan not in the habit of locking his door? We just came in without unlocking it. Yeah, he did have a habit of locking up. Oh, Madam's orders. All private spaces in this house are kept locked. How many keys can unlock Uncle Kraus' room? In addition to the one that Kraus-sama held, there are the master keys. Oh, don't bother with lock and key nonsense. It's all completely pointless. Have you forgotten that Genji-san had already turned up dead? His master key is missing, which means that all of the locks in this mansion are now meaningless. How dull. In short, there are no locked room murders inside this mansion, and there never will be. Good grief. What a bore of a mystery this is becoming. Erika laughed off this murder in disappointment as though it was something she was watching on TV. I can't understand her. Why is her world so different from ours? It's almost like she's a being from another dimension. Was Jessica also like this in a bed? That's right. Just like George, her throat was cut. Yes. Let me see Jessica. I haven't seen her face yet. Si è svegliata adesso, poi ha avuto lo scoppio ritardato. Wait up, Natsuhi-san! The culprit might still be hiding nearby. It would be dangerous to let her be alone. Natsuhi flew out of the room and dashed through the guest house this time. It was only natural after all, she still hadn't even seen Jessica's last face. Everyone probably thought that was the reason. Of course, this was the last half of what was on Natsuhi's mind. The other half was her desire to shift their attention away from the study. Strange crimes had occurred, the gold had been discovered, and some relatives had been recommended Butler to be the next head. Even in these twisted circumstances, she had to protect Kinzo's secret. Ah, my head. If Eve should split from this pain, let it burst this very moment, burst open like a balsam flower, then I won't have to suffer any longer. So, everyone, for Natsuhi-san's sake, let's return to the guest house for the time being. Now that seeing your daughter's face is going to advance the story in any way. Do you even have a heart? A heart? What's that? Seeing her daughter's dead face wouldn't bring Jessica back to life, nor would it heal Natsuhi's anguish. On the contrary, she would probably wail, wasting a considerable amount of time before being able to think properly again. That probably sums up Erika's screwed up argument. Seeing her dead face won't advance the story? Oh, but that's where you're wrong! Beato's pieces has brought about an interesting change. What in the... Natsuhi flew into the cousins' rooms on the upper floor of the guest house and was struck dumb by the blood-stained beds and the eerie magic circle which looked like it might have been drawn with the victim's blood. Where's Jessica? Where is Jessica? In that bed? Bed? Where? George? Where is he? Wait a second. What the hell? What is going on here? Sapete, io usando in passato diverse volte decals di Blood Splatter, riesco a riconoscerne alcune qua che sono PNG molto molto comuni. Non so, voi non vedete la freccetta mia, il mio cursore, ma ne vedo almeno uno e questo, almeno 3 diversi di Blood Decals, che sono quelli che trovi copyright free online. però sono fatti bene, sono blendati bene con la stoffa. Però riconosco le forme a forza di usarli. This room was locked tight when we left. We can now be certain that the culprit is the master key. Once again, my reasoning was correct. Who cares about that? Where did they go? Where did all their bodies go? Nice trick. See, look, it's magic. That gap was with Beato hid the corpses somewhere with magic. All of us moved together. You're trying to say that this gives everyone an alibi? Your reasoning goes like this, right? The 4 of them weren't actually dead. They were just plain dead. Then, when no one else was around, they hid somewhere. Am I right? I don't intend to declare any of their deaths. You don't intend to declare any of their deaths in red, do you? No, of course I won't. I like that doll, Beato. I don't give red out for free. In that case, I gladly use the blue truth. I can think of any number of ways to work around something of this level. Sure, go ahead. Blue truth time. Here's the first one I can think of. The victims aren't actually dead. They pretended to be dead, then secretly hid themselves somewhere. After all, you haven't declared anyone's death with the red truth. Even if I showed you their gaping wounds, you still gotta try that one if it wasn't in the red, right? That's like the basic of the basics. But don't get your hopes up. I'm not giving you a freebie red truth, because all I need to refute one teensy little part of that theory at the end of the game at midnight on October 5th. Oh, the witch side is such a big advantage. If that stupid battler was my opponent, he'd be done after that blue truth. But you aren't like that, right, Ben? Of course. Anyone could have thought of that ridiculous move. I have more. Second one. Kraus carried the bodies off and hid them. You're making it look like you've kidnapped Kraus and locked him up somewhere, but he might actually be free. Kraus has no alibi. Kraus hid the corpses. Right, of course you'd say that. It's not like I declared with the red truth that Kraus was being confined. They do say you've got to trick your friends before you can trick your enemies. So you're saying he lied to Natsuhi, making it seem like he'd been captured. Any others? Third one. The corpses were different people in the first place. They were substitute corpses made to look like the victims. George and the others were hiding from the beginning and later killed away the substitute corpses. The corpses were dead from the very beginning, so they don't count towards the number of people on the island. What is that? That's hilarious! So all those people gathered around and looked at their dead faces, and not a single one of them realized that they were fakes. Since you haven't used the red truth, there's a possibility that everyone misidentified all of their bodies. Of course, if you feel like responding to a repetition request for no one would misidentify a person, I'll withdraw that claim immediately. How about no? You can't bait me out like that. You can't bait me like that. The red truth is only useful if I make you wait for it, you know? I'll pick a single blue truth from all the ones you gave me throughout this game and smash it with the red. Then the rest of the blue truth will be swallowed up by the darkness before you can even find out whether they were right or wrong. That darkness is the world of witches. You won't be giving any truth at all. This girl acts like she's stupid, but she's not bad at all. She'll never rise to provocation. Looks like she understands the thing called the darkness of witches even better than the true game master, Beato. And apparently, Gap has a good understanding of it as well. That move of hiding the corpses. It worked out pretty well for both Lambda and Beato. In any event, I thought up a full 3 theories about the disappearing corpses. 3 blue wedges for a single riddle. That doesn't mean she can't refute all of those 3. Unless she pulls out all 3 wedges, the riddle has been defeated. That's the ironclad rule of witch hunting. A single wedge isn't nearly enough. Only vampires die from a single stake. Compared to witches, vampires are weak. True witches won't die unless you stab them all over with stakes, you know? Think about assassins, don't they do the same? Don't they? Assassins only kill their targets with a single perfect shot in Japanese manga. Real assassins will empty out an entire clip of bullets. That's what you do too, isn't it? So would I, of course. But my blue wedges, but my blue truths were nothing special, so knowing her, she'll probably slice all of them in 2 with a single swipe of the red. A confirmation of their deaths and Kraus' innocence, or simply firing off those couple of reds. Mamma mia. A confirmation of their deaths, or Kraus' innocence, by simply firing off those couple of reds, she can remove all 3 of my wedges. Well, that's okay. When the red truth does come out, I just need to follow along with it and stab her full of blue wedges again. This is how a witch's game is played. So much fun. Especially since Butler's sluggish fighting had been driving me mad for so long. Yes, I understand, Lambda. This was merely the very start of the beginning of the first Twilight. It was just a skirmish, right? I wouldn't have it any other way. Because when I crush you, Ragged, make you cry out in frustration as you crawl and scratch at the floor, grab that cute hair of yours and drag you along the ground as I roll up laughing. This way will make it all more enjoyable. E ci fermiamo qui.